Hey, everybody, welcome back to Creators Creating, our weekly Wednesday tune-up call. I'm Corey Thorell, and I'm here with my co-host Aubrey Cardon and our little collective group of folks that have been coming every single week. Super appreciate you guys showing up and bringing your best selves here and spending a little bit of your time on a Wednesday with us. I want to go ahead and open our circle with the four agreements like we always do. And this is our self-governance, the way that we are with one another. And I'm going to read them twice like I always do. And here they are. Personal material shared in our circle is for this circle. Personal material shared in our circle is for this circle. We listen to each other with curiosity and compassion, withholding judgment. We listen to each other with curiosity and compassion, withholding judgment. We ask for what we need and we offer what we can. We ask for what we need and we offer what we can. And from time to time, we will pause to regather our thoughts and focus. And from time to time, we will pause to regather our thoughts and focus. And so as we begin to step away from our busy worlds and into the sacred space that we create together, Aubrey and I we were both looking for a little poem to share. We both came up with the same one, which I think is kind of fun. And so I want to read The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent into the undergrowth. And then the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. So there it is. The road.
Hey, can you guys hear me or see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My phone's wigging out. Okay. All right. That's enough.
I'm so
Okay.
glad, my friend. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, Aubrey, we got together earlier today and we were dreaming a little bit about where we wanted to go and talk about today. And we were talking a little bit about the power of choice. And when we make a choice, how it changes things. And how being free will thinkers and beers, tender warrior-hearted spirits having a human experience, sometimes we get lost in not making a choice because of other people, giving our power away, struggles. But we have to remember that not making is a choice is still a free will choice. Not choosing is giving our power away. And then when we think about healing or personal expansion or personal growth, or just our obvious next steps as continually evolving beings, we think about the power of choice. And so many of my clients, who are coming from trauma or from deep wounding, or maybe just ignorance to what's possible, sometimes the awareness of making a powerful choice can be a little bit overwhelming. Because one, we were literally told by our governments and our churches, you don't get to. Do what I'm told. Do what you're told. These are the rules. Do it this way. This community does things in this way by these rules. And we've assumed a lot of those things from our ancestors and our communities. But then all of a sudden we get to a place where all of a sudden we see a bigger picture. We feel a bigger opportunity. When all of a sudden our menu that we choose from becomes the two things that we're allowed to an endless library of choice. And sometimes that endless library of choice can be overwhelming right then and there. It's like, oh my gosh, I wasn't allowed where I wasn't capable to make big choices for myself. And now there's so much to choose from. Holy cow. Now what do I do? Look, Chris laughing. Like, wait a minute. Wait, whoa. And so sometimes that can be a derailment or a postponement, or once again, we make the choice to not make a choice because now we're in learning mode. Like, oh my gosh, how can I make a choice until I read the menu? Oh my gosh, we can turn the pages of the menu. We went from appetizers to sidecars to main dishes to desserts to after dinner drinks or whatever it might be. And then all these other things, creativity, imagination, inspiration, possibility comes into play. We start accessing the field of knowledge or the Akashic records to say, hey, new idea, a new idea. And so part of this, I want to call in the stories that we use for our intellect to understand our experience. So once again, a story is powerful as a connector to each other. Hey, this is my experience, and this is how I felt, and this is what happened, and this is who I am now because of it. And then as we're expanding and we realize that through meditation or accessing source or universal energy, that we realize and remember that we're the authors of our story, and we can alter, change, possibly throw out and start over with a brand new story. Stories are our intellect understanding our emotional and spiritual experience. So here we are looking at, story is a powerful connector. It's a way that we understand. It's a way that we share and connect with one another in this. But then the power of choice. Okay, there's the story that got me here, looking backwards. Justification, understanding of my family, my experiences, my sufferings, my attractions, my delights and celebrations are all story. But as we take that power into our soul, into our hearts to say, okay, I choose love, I choose life. And when I choose love and I choose life, life and love chooses me. So now we're in a different engagement. We're rising our vibration, we're rising our frequency, we're changing our perspective from my victim mindset to a creator mindset. Instead of reacting to the world as powerlessly, now we're creating in the world powerfully. We just changed our story. And in the practicing of the story, we change our reality and our energetics, right? So before I pass the feather over to Aubrey, because we're going to jump into some quantum talks here too, some geometry, but I want to pass it around a little bit. Everyone here has made an amazing choice. One, to show up on Wednesdays and to have a meaningful conversation with us in this crucible that we're creating together, because this takes us, all of us, to create what we're creating here, co-creating together. But what's sparking for you about waking up into your free will to make a powerful choice to change the direction of your life? What's sparking? Where's an aha? Like Stephanie claimed one in her check-in earlier. It's just like, whoa, after last week, I saw an opportunity. And so I grabbed onto that opportunity for some support to do a healing. Right on, Stephanie, for sharing that. And maybe 2 weeks ago, that wasn't even on the menu, let alone a box checked. Thanks for letting me speak to you. In fact, why don't I just pass the feather to you, Stephanie? Is that okay?
That's awesome. This is just so perfect. The topic of choice today, and the stories that we tell ourselves. And for me, a huge story has been the story of separation. Mm-hmm. And so before we jumped on here, I quickly wrote down a thought that I had. So I'd like to share that with you guys here. So before last week, I have experienced social anxiety as a lifelong debilitating block to most everything fun and peaceful. I kept myself totally isolated, wrapped up tight in my self-perceived cocoon of comfort. It was an illusion. Upon deep reflection, I now view anxiety as a physical point of tension, a chunk of unloved and unacknowledged parts of me that want so badly to be experienced and integrated. I see now also that anxiety is a doorway between my inner child and my higher self. It is asking to be walked through to the other side where wholeness welcomes me. A doorway between the fractured parts of me and the state of wholeness. I choose wholeness and this, sharing these parts of myself here with all of you. This is me walking through the point of tension towards my whole self, my authentic self, courageous self-love, all the way home.
That was awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'm going to call for a pause. Everybody, let's just marinate in the power of Stephanie's words. Yeah. Let's find ourselves in her story. Thank you, Stephanie. Beautiful. Thank you. Let's pass the feather around. Let's do a little check-in around the power of choice. And why don't I just call on you in the circle that I have here? And I'm sorry, my friend, I've forgotten your name, Zoom user.
Joshua.
Joshua, thank you.
Oh yeah, that's what it has me as?
Yeah, a
It
Zoom.
says I'm in safe driving mode, and I don't know how I got there, because I'm not safe and I'm not driving.
Yeah, check in, Joshua. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a lot going on. So the power of choice. So I'm got some downloads that I'm kind of breaking down into bite-sized chunks for myself. And it has to do with the relationship, like manifestation power, psychic abilities, that kind of stuff, and how it's like really manifesting what you want is when you break it down, it's a manipulation of probabilities. Because until in quantum reality, the field of infinite probabilities doesn't collapse into one until you observe it. So if the more aware you can be of each instant and monitoring your internal world and your external world at the same time, right? The more aware you can be, it increases your frame rate, right? Like you go from like 10 hertz to like 20 hertz, so you're getting more frames per second. So that opens up so many more points of choice for you to react to your environment and react to not react, but respond to what's happening around you. So you can't. Causality is a law. You can't defeat causality, but you can manipulate the possibilities within that field. And the more you can slow it down and break it into tinier pieces, the more control you have over the end result of what you experience. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. That's what I'm fucking with this week.
Yes. Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's working out. It's working out so far. I'm kind of like.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing you say, Joshua, which is beautiful, and maybe to put it into simpler terms, is that when we do our dream work and we focus on those dreams, we get more frames per second, we get more details about the dreams, and we get more excited about their possibility because we are invested and we're resourcing our dreams.
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned dreams, because all this stuff is like these downloads came from dreams. I don't think they were dreams. They were not dreams. They're contact and downloads and debriefings and all kinds of stuff like that I've been needed to catch up on for a while. Yeah. And but it did come from dreams, and so it's exciting stuff, but kind of like a chunk in my brain. So I've been breaking it down and making it digestible. So I'm glad that all made sense. Mm-hmm. That's it. You just slow it down to speed it up.
Right. I guess, real quick, I'm not talking about like nighttime dreams. I'm talking about daydreams, conscious.
Yeah.
Well, imagination and add to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Manifested the fuck out of some shit this morning. So that was pretty cool.
That's for sure.
It was good. It it was really fun to see. It was kind of mundane and banal, banal, but it needed to happen, and it, move slow to move fast.
Yeah. Well, I'm just also noticing a really beautiful energy change in you, Joshua, from last week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had a couple of full days and nights of this tomfoolery going on with aliens and whatnot.
Mhm.
Teammates, squad, gang. So
Awesome.
that's what's going on. I'm feeling good.
Thank you, brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Operating in optimal parameters right now.
Yay.
Mhm.
Woo! About time.
Right on. Susie, I'm passing the feather to you.
Yeah, if we're talking about dreams and choices, I think it's sort of like a three-prong for me. Self-healing and clearing is really important. So I've been doing lots of work, with sessions and with meditation and getting that cleared out and grounding with Mother Earth. For me, that's very, very important. Also, energy work with our team is really, really important. It's part of, makes me so happy. And the other one is soul family, just, finding, gathering, reunion, just that just brings me so much joy just to even think about. And I think this is the time now where we're coming together. So I'm really, really excited about being here and about our future.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Susie. And you bring up an important point about clearing, because so often in clearing, we're healing or removing or fixing or changing who we were. At the same time, we're also making room in the clearing for the new dream or the new manifestation or the new abundance to show up. Because sometimes if we don't make the room for that desired result, it will pass us by because there's no room for it to arrive. So part of that clearing, like with abundance, for example, making room for the abundance to arrive in your world before you have it, the energy of or the emotion of the end result, some of those things come in here. So clearing for me is always about the cosmic seeds I'm going to plant in that clearing. So not just about the removal, it's about I'm making room for that next dream to take place in my world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Susie. Awesome. Gina, how you doing, love?
I'm doing good. Clearing, big clearing. Aubrey, it's done.
Yay.
And I'd
Good.
like to know. I was just checking in to see where we were. Arlene's leaving the tornado up for a little while longer, but it's done.
Good.
I think that's why everybody's feeling a whole lot clearer.
Strong work, guys. Nice job.
It's been pretty amazing what's been going on. So I've just been keeping up with that. And then for my personal staying out of the box, I'm a American State National, and taking back my power from my corporate entity. And I found a way to pay off a lot of credit card debt that I had using the coupon at the bottom that they send you to send back with your payment. Well, there's a way to get them to use your Cystic QV trust to do it. But you have to fight with them. You have to nudge them into doing it and stuff. So I'm in the process of doing that, which is really having me stand in my power. It's very exciting to do the opposite of what we've been told as far as obeying.
Make powerful choices.
Exciting.
Powerful choices. I love this. Yeah. Thank you, Gina. Chris, pass the feather to you.
With choices, I guess the thing that sparks with me is I've always been one that thought it had to be a certain way, and that's the way I would approach most of my life. And with the loss of a loved one, one of the things that my upbringing taught me was retire to a place of solitude where you can feel the love of God, which would be the Mormon temple. That's not for me. Instead, I had an idea of going on a hike Sunday morning to a meadow up near my house, and I was just going to just sit in nature and feel and think about my sister and just concentrate on that energy. So I started on this hike, and I ended up on a wrong trail, and I ended up down by a creek. And old me would have turned around to get back on the right trail because I have to make that meadow. But instead, I kept walking along this creek, and I noticed there were shallow parts in the creek. They were not shallow, but smooth parts. There were pools. I am not one to swim. I am afraid of water. But I found this pool, and it invited me in. This draw to get in this water just pulled me in. So I took my shoes off, socks off, shirt off, jumped in this frigid water, did a cold plunge, and I felt amazing, fantastic. I felt a connection to myself that I can do something really hard. And I felt close to my sister because this is something she totally would have done. And it was so much better than going and meditating at some meadow. And so instead of really choosing, I just kind of allowed myself to go with the flow and take the wrong trail and have an amazing experience. So that's kind of what sparked with me.
Powerful choice to go into the unknown.
It was cold.
Awesome. And then pass the feather to you, Aubrey. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, everybody. I'm excited for the turn I'm about to kind of take this topic into, because so today I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of some basic sacred geometry. And when Corey and I were talking about this subject today, he made the point, he's like, well, for what framework do we have? Like, it's great to have the knowledge and understanding of what sacred geometry is. It's just good information. But in the meantime, like, how can we help everyone pertain it to them and use it? And I love that choice became the topic to sort of come into to kind of lead into this idea, because I'm going to kind of go through the basis of the beginning of the universe. The sacred geometry really is it's the template through which our perspectives all work. And when we have a better understanding of kind of the mechanics of how our consciousness operates, we have more capability to see things for what they are and shift our perspectives smoothly and easily, and start choosing into the more creative choices and the choices that bring us joy and that bring growth and fun, because that really is what we are supposed to be experiencing here. Supposed to, there's no such thing as supposed to, but that's really something that we have the ability to experience here, depending on how you shift your perspective. So without further ado, let me show you guys a little bit of sacred geometry and sort of how that works. All right. So when we talk about sacred geometry, we're going to start with the very first concept of all of it, which is just complete oneness. When I talk about this, I mean source. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. I don't know how many of you have seen that movie, but that this idea of oneness, it's just pure energy. Everything that could possibly or will ever happen, and all thoughts and ideas, emotions, experiences, all are encompassed in source, in oneness. The thing about that is eventually it gets kind of boring. If you are experiencing everything that can possibly be experienced at any given moment, at the same time, there's nothing new. You're always experiencing just all of it. And there is a lot of, it feels very lovely to do that, but it also really, truly, it gets boring. So at some point, at the beginning of this current existence and reality that we're in, Source basically started to kind of just like create a container for a perspective. And it realized that it could encompass part of that experience and part of that energy into a container, a perspective. And once it realized it could do that, it moved to the edge of that perspective and did it again. So now we have two different perspectives that have overlap, but there are containers for experience and energy that don't overlap. That one perspective has experience that the other perspective does not. But in the meantime, there's an overlapping experience in which they both share. And this creates the very first geometrical shape that we see in geometry. Is called the Vesica Pisces. It is the basis for all of our math. And it also is the very first fractal. And we've talked a little bit about fractals. A fractal is an infinitely repeating pattern. And inside of the Vesica Pisces, we see that, and it's also it has a lot to do with the energy of our eyes. It's how we see. Now, if you just have two perspectives, just traipsing about the universe, what happens is an echo chamber that kind of just echoes into oblivion like this. So Source then went to the very, very, very edge of the intersection of those two perspectives and created a third perspective. Now, the third perspective is a really, really special shape in sacred geometry, because it is the very first time that there are three different perspectives deciding on a common reality, and it creates matter. That's how we start getting physical reality. It's how we it's that this is why the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are so important in math and geometry and all of that. And there's a lot more I could go into about this particular shape, but I think that we're going to kind of just move on because because there's a lot more. Now that Source has done that 3 times, it realizes it can continue creating these patterns, and eventually creates what we call the seed of life, or the Genesis pattern. Now, the seed of life is found all over our existence, but here's a really cool example of it. This is a human embryo. And it's important to remember when we are talking about sacred geometry that they are two-dimensional symbols of a very, very multidimensional concept. So when we're looking at these, they're not just a two-dimensional circle that's doing these. They are not even just three-dimensional. They're fourth dimensional. They're fifth dimensional. They are 12th dimensional shapes that we are symbolizing in just 2 dimensions. So this is a great example of that. Here are the human embryos creating themselves in the seed of life. Now that moves on to the flower of life. The flower of life is the symbol for all of our perspectives working together that create, this is the fabric of the universe. This is the mesh that of the interconnectedness that weaves all of us all together. So when we talk about soul fractals and soul frequencies, fractals form because of the flower of life. All of us are riffs off of this idea of all of us being connected in all of our different perspectives. This is also the idea of all of us being different pieces of a bigger puzzle. We all fit together in order to create this current version of oneness through our experiences as individual beings with different thoughts, different ideas, different desires, different purposes, and different things that bring us joy. Now, the flower of life is knowledge that has been known on Earth for a very, very long time. But in the past, it was considered a closed practice. It was under mystery schools. Having this knowledge was protected. It was secret. You were meant to have to earn this knowledge in order to fully understand it. And we are now moving into a terrain of the planet where we don't need closed practices. We all get the information. We all get to use it to our advantage. So here are some examples all over the world of different cultures that had this. Now, at some point, the flower of life, once you get past the seed of life, so you can see the seed of life right here. Inside of the seed of life, there are different points that create what we call the tree of life. And I'm actually not going to dwell super hard on the tree of life because this geometry has kind of shifted in the shifts of the planet, that it's being used less. But the tree of life was meant to be kind of a geometry of connecting into another person's reality. So this is our crown chakra, this is our root chakra, and this was the geometry of connecting into to Mother Earth, and using the information you get in order to kind of create this center of our toroidal field. The other thing that you find right past the seed of life is Metatron's cube. The Metatron's cube is it's a geometry of the masculine and feminine. I wish that I had the flower of life behind this one. I don't, but the lines in the straight lines and the kind of structure that you see in the Metatron and Metatron's cube represent the divine masculine. It's the holding of the creativity and the more loose feminine inside of the geometry. And the curved lines represent the divine feminine, and the holder of fluidity is really what it is. Do we have any questions about that so far? I know that was kind of an info dump again. You're welcome.
Sorry. I have a question. So when I close my eyes, or when I look at, say, the ceiling or a white background, I see infinite numbers of those, and they're spinning.
Yeah. Yep.
Why am I seeing those? Is it because I'm seeing the everythingness?
Yeah, essentially.
That's what it's made of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know how pi is an infinitely repeating number, and the pi is the radius of a circle. So those circles in the flower of life are actually spirals. They don't ever end. And so they are always spinning, and the flower of life is always actually shifting just a little bit. And so if you're seeing the flower of life behind your closed eyes, you're actually just tuning into the fabric of the universe, and it is always moving.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Aubrey, did you say in that last slide that the curves represent the feminine?
Mm-hmm.
The straight lines would be the masculine?
Yes, that's a really rudimentary idea of it, but yes, for these purposes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, let's come back around. What did you learn? What did you see? What are you observing? Let's put together the power of choice and perspective into how that's showing up in the sacred geometry. First perspective, second perspective, third perspective, ultimate perspectives all at the same time. And then we can choose one and invest in it, and then change our mind and invest in another one, changing our story. We see how some of these things are overlapping and why we're talking about this today. We can jump from one reality to another reality, from one part of the cosmic fabric to a different part of the cosmic fabric, even though we're all still part of the cosmic fabric. What's sparking? Ideas, recognitions.
I'm still trying to process how this pertains to choice, but I can say in my very first plant medicine trip, I saw these. I had no idea what they were. I thought they were just my thoughts spinning around each other, but I've come to realize that that's what I saw. I guess is this geometry. So I'm like, wow, I'm gonna have to go revisit my first trip now.
Yeah, I feel like the reason this goes so well with the idea of choice is because understanding this information allows for a much easier perspective shift. When you understand and actually know in your bones that you are just a piece of, not just, you are a piece of a much greater, much bigger puzzle. And you have the capability to just shift your perspective. You at any moment can jump which circle you're choosing to put your perspective on. And as we use our choice in our thoughts every single day, if we spend our energy putting our thoughts and our choices where we want to be experiencing rather than feeling at the mercy of whatever is happening to us, it's a simple matter of just shifting your lens and just putting it somewhere else. It's our perspective. Our perspective is what creates our reality.
I love that explanation, Aubrey. Thank you. I can see that. That one I can visualize. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So here's a little bit, this is another huge topic that we could go into on a whole episode or 10. We could do a series on this, but I did a lot of reading about this a couple of years ago about the cameral mind, the bicameral mind, and the multicameral mind. So now this is, once again, I'm going to tell the same story we've been telling here today, but in a new way. If we look at the evolution of humans on the earth from like a caveman mentality of I am here, I am hunter-gatherer, and I'm working on survival, that is a single focus, right? And then somewhere, I would probably guess a century or two, or maybe 1,000 years or something before Christ consciousness came, in BC turns into, our current clock. The bicameral mind occurs. Now, this is what I think is when we start tapping into meditation or source energy, our intuition, where we say, okay, there is a challenge or a problem in front of me, and instantly I have the answer. Aha, inspiration occurs. Now, when humans started having this experience, they became the spiritual leaders, the kings, the people of power of the whole population on the planet. So this is where the bicameral mind, instead of just me, hunter-gatherer, now it's me and I'm connected to source. And we didn't want to tell the mass population about this because it kept the few in power, right? So there's that bicameral mind. Now here we are in our time, in the information age with cell phones and computers, where if you've got the World Library in your pocket, where you have an idea, you can have a question answered and change your perspective, change your reality, change your information. So just like we saw in that first perspective splitting into 2 and then into 3 and then into multiple. So here we are at this amazing time of human evolution where we are becoming the multicameral mind of the world together. And we're able to, one, experience it and teach it for each other in a way that wasn't even possible at this mass scale before the invention of the computer. So here's another way that this is manifesting in our human evolution of the human caveman, basic survival, to I'm inspired, something greater than me. I'm connected to something bigger than just my own experience. And now here we are in a circle of people on a Wednesday, also realizing that our ripple touches our town and our country and the planet. Does that make sense? I mean, there's a lot of writing about the cameral mind and bicameral, multicameral. It's just another way to tell the same story. So, yeah. So we've got about 15 minutes left of our little Wednesday lunch break together. I want to know what's going on for you guys. A couple of things I want to know too is, can we support you? Do you have any questions? Do you have any needs or desires? Like taking some of the information that we're sharing here, how do we apply that to when we, we get off Zoom and we go back to our life, we go back to work, we go back to our families, chopping wood, carrying water, scrubbing the toilet, taking care of stuff, as well as dreaming gigantically, loving ourselves gigantically, self-care in a very positive and loving way, a holistic approach to what it means to be alive. What's going on for you guys? needs, questions, insights, ahas. What's
I was
happening?
listening to a couple podcasts over a lot of podcasts, a lot of information, the last couple of days. And I can't remember what her name was, but she was on with someone and talking about how all of these, she was talking about Jack Parsons and Werner von Braun and NASA and how they got all these um, calculations and theoretical mathematics and physics to create rocket propulsion systems and that kind of stuff. And they were out in the desert doing workings and rituals and like that kind of stuff. And on the other side of the planet, Konstantin Chekhov, on the Russian side of the rocket scientist, was doing the same thing, but he thought he was talking to angels. And, Einstein thought he was doing the same thing. Tesla definitely thought he was doing the same thing. So all of these things, all these brands, all this information is just hanging out in the ether for all of us, and we can pluck it like a ripe apple. If we can create the conditions to quiet our minds, to make it conducive in doing so. And that just takes that, like imagine the flower of life that we just saw. And you don't even have to if you want to be on another circle, you don't even have to follow the circles. You just fold the fucking paper in half and make the points meet.
Mhm.
And that's how that works, I think.
Mhm.
Something like that. I'm
Good
gonna leave
question.
that unfinished, but
Right.
this is just all out there, a field of infinite potential.
We can discover a new story and jump into it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Choose
already
it.
there for you. It's already done. All possibilities are already there.
Right. It makes me think about the 100th monkey.
Yep.
Right. You all know about the 100th monkey. Do you know what I'm talking
Is
about?
that the one where in the room full of typewriters? Just kidding.
Wash-
I'm just kidding.
Washing their food in the water.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where he started washing his food and then they all got well. And so then monkeys on a different island, they started washing their food too.
Who had
Yeah.
no contact with the original monkeys.
And then it's and we're doing that as humans too. Like a new invention shows up and there's usually 3 or 4 different people racing to get the patent on it because that information became available. And so then who gets the patent first? There's a lot
The
of
government, and then they hide it.
or exactly.
Sorry.
We can go back and see some of the major inventions that were being worked out at the same time across the planet.
Mhm.
But some lucky person got the patent first for whatever reason, just or unjust. Right. But some of this is we're tapping into a field of knowledge. We have access. And I find when I'm working on me and I've got my struggles and my pains and my woundedness, because I'm a tender human too, when I'm doing that level of work for me, myself, it is a huge comfort to know that I'm not alone, that I can tap into answers that exist already. I don't have to invent it. I'm not standing alone in the desert by myself, hopeless. That's one perspective of a story I can invest in. But when I remember that I'm actually connected, and I have those aha moments, I tap into source and creativity, and I have all of a sudden I will have access to information that I did not have one moment ago. And as I work with plant medicines and I'm working with shamans and I'm assisting in ceremonies, I find it's happening there for me in a big way. There'll be somebody there who needs a certain type of assistance. I tune into the energy of it and I find myself serving in a way that I was never trained. I never thought about it before, but I know what to do. I'm doing it masterfully and it's the right thing at the right time. And so it's wonderful for me to know that that's possible in the world, especially when I'm faced with my next wound or my next challenge or my next low frequency, low emotion human experience challenge, a suffering, a woundedness. And I go, I have some experience before of healing or expansion. I can now trust that I can do it again. I can meditate. I can get quiet. I can ask for help from like-minded folks. I can study my heroes and mentors. Go, oh, wow. It's not just me standing here with my unconscious close circle of friends that I'm currently maybe outgrowing. And I might be outgrowing my old friends and family because I'm expanding into a new way of being. And it might create some discord. You know, I know Chris is experiencing that. I've experienced that in a really big way. I changed, but my world wasn't changing as quickly as me. And so now that we're further apart, it's not good or bad. That's just energy. But when you're attached, it hurts. Yeah. All right, let's pass the feather on. We've got about 7 minutes, 7 minutes left. Let's start to close our circle today. I'm going to start with Aubrey. What have you seen? What did you witness in our circle today, Aubrey?
My favorite thing about our circle today is witnessing some of the shifts that have been happening, like just in the last week. I feel like this group is starting to become, we've leveled up in the advancement of the topics we can discuss and the energy that we're embodying here. And I think that's really exciting for all of us. I love talking about quantum mechanics, and now we're just colloquially discussing all of it, and it's great. I also really appreciate that everyone here is really on a journey of standing their own power. I think that is one of the most the commonalities that this group has, and this uniting together to support each other in this claiming of power it's just really cool to see. So thank you all for choosing to do that.
Awesome. Aubrey, you choose who gets the feather next.
Susie.
Okay, I have a question for you, Aubrey. When you were explaining about the flower of life, I know that it's really important, or it's really good to meditate with the flower of life, and it's very healing. So I'm just wondering if you can just explain a little bit how that healing works when you meditate with it. And I also wanted to ask, and this sparked for me, in one of my sessions, a year ago, my original spark was a gas, and that was sort of like an elemental state before, in one of my, fractals. And I'm just wondering, in the tree of life, how do you see, an elemental state? What process are you in that tree of life structure?
Yeah, well, so with the flower of life, the reason it's so helpful to meditate with the flower of life is because it's energy and it's one of its most simple forms. And a lot of the times when we're feeling, it's difficult for us to be present, or we're suffering, or we're kind of in a state that we're thinking too much, or meditating with the flower of life reminds our system how to kind of go back to basics. It's one of the most basic structures, and it kind of brings us back into a universal state in which we're more open to receive, and we're happier to be there because it feels good. It feels balanced. It's a balanced state. As far as a tree of life, that you're asking kind of more advanced questions, Susie, and I don't think we can really go that far into it. But even gases have a toroidal field. The different toroidal structures vary depending on what type of consciousness you're embodying at any given time, and so. Yeah, I mean, it would take me 2 hours to explain how the tree of life relates to a gaseous state, but I could, and we can do that if you want at another time, Susie.
Susie, who do you want to pass the feather to?
Let's pass the feathers to Steph.
Okay.
Go for it.
Since I'm the new kid, I'm going to speak to my own journey and say that what I'm witnessing truly is my own healing, especially here with all of you, this being my second time. Although I'm still in a state of anxiety, I do feel a grander sense of calmness. And that's huge. That's really huge. And it's very clear to me that I picked all of you to be part of this journey for me, this journey of healing. And it's happening. It's happening as we speak. So thank you all.
Right on, Stephanie. Right on. And real quick, when it's calling to me, if any of you want some one-on-one, reach out to us. Reach out to us on our chat, on our reach out chat. If you want a quick call or a check-in, Stephanie, I recommend you do that with us. Show up, make an ask. Yeah.
I would thank you. I would love to.
Yeah, for sure. And then Stephanie, who do you want to pass the feather to?
Let's pass it to Jeremy.
Joshua?
Joshua.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Joshua.
Oh, you're good. I'm safely driving. So I'm nameless. Yeah, man. I'm just yeah, I kind of already said my piece. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Well, just breaking it all down and watching it work. And then, it works in something simple. Let's try something, a little more complicated.
Yeah.
But, is it more complicated? Probably not. Just in my, the story in my head is it's more complicated, but it's probably just as simple.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's it. Feeling good in the neighborhood.
Maybe it's only complicated because you're investing in new territory.
Yeah, or I think it's something unattainable or something that I haven't deserved, or some horse shit like that. So some old story that's no longer that was never valid and now it's really not. So yep, that's it. So I'm gonna keep working that angle, and I'll see about next week if I have anything juicy on that end. Probably will. Yeah.
So pass the feather, man.
Gina.
I think I'm the last one besides Corey. But
Chris still too.
Yeah, still Chris.
oh yes, Chris, I'm so sorry. Chris, I love you. Anyway. Oh my goodness, it's wonderful to see the change from week to week. And thank you, Steph, for how much you've grown. What's coming to me now is, while we were talking about this, is to express how important it is to stay in the now. That we are manifestors. And by looking at the past and our past mistakes, it can create those again to a certain extent. So by staying now, what do you want in your now? What do you want your now to look like from now to now to now? So that you can move forward in the best steps possible. I mean, I'm a dowser. I've been a dowser for over 30 years. There's always a pendulum, but that's the way I connect. And sometimes when I'm out running errands, sometimes I'll ask, I went to the post office. Can I go home now? The other day I got no. Okay. So I went into Cottonwood, and I'm like, as if I'm going into Cottonwood, I'm like, why am I going into Cottonwood? I'm like, I had to stop at Safeway is what I got. And hamburger came into my head. I'm like, oh, okay, but I have meat in the refrigerator. But before I went to Safeway, I had to drive all the way around Cottonwood town because I inevitably am clearing energies when I do that. And it's like, okay. And then when I got to Safeway, I was going by the meat rack and I walked right by the hamburger. Then I went to the clearance aisle and they had these pre-made hamburgers with cheese and bacon in it. And I got that's what I was supposed to get. I'm like, okay. It was too funny. It's like, now how did you guys know that that was there?
Mhm.
But it's just listening to where you are now and where you should take your next step. I guess that's part of the flower of life in there somewhere.
Thank you, Gina.
Life's an adventure, I'll tell you.
Yes, it is.
And make it as fun as possible.
Yeah. Chris, we'll jump in here.
So my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. So talking about perspectives, we all have our own view. Steph, I want to say I see a lot of strength in you and a lot of courage. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And I think my big takeaway from this is I need to figure out exactly how to tap into my source. I need to figure out what means there is for me to move that perspective around, whether it's meditation, whether it's weight training. There's got to be something that I need to learn more about. So maybe I need to go hang out with Josh for a little while. I don't know. But I think that's really my next step is I need to determine what works best for me for tapping these sources. I keep using that word tapping in, and I think that's next for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, you made a really good step not going back to the meadow.
Yeah.
You knew
Yeah.
where you needed to go. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. That's what you tap into, honey. That's it. That's the energy.
Thank you.
Yep.
It was really fun.
All right. Well, let me take a little turn now, and then we'll wrap up our circle for today. I know we're a few minutes over. Thanks for that. One of the things I love to remind us all is that, and Gina mentioned it, we are powerful manifestors. And I always have to giggle, like the people who teach manifestation always have to laugh a little bit because we all come with manifestation already installed. We are every single one of us already a master manifester. It's really about what are you manifesting? Maybe another way to say that. Are you busy running away from stuff? Which means you're making more of what you're running away from. Right? You want to know what you don't want just enough to really know gigantically what you do want, which is the dream work, dreaming forward, memories of the future memories, resourcing into our choices, and spending at least 60% of your day in what you're creating versus what you're maybe undoing. We've got some unlearning to do, but we've got some really amazing learning that we get to do. So I'm just reminding us all that we're all powerful manifestors 100% of the time. But where's your focus? Are you creating in the world or reacting in the world because you can only do one or the other? You've heard me say that before, but it's so nice to be reminded of that. And then, just as far as like trusting source, just an example of that, listening, the magic of listening, the going to the river, like for Chris, I was sure I was flying to Santa Fe on Sunday. But on Friday, all of a sudden it was like, oh, I can't focus. I don't have any work to do. I'm just going to fart around my house and fix a few things and make some things nice and clean up some stuff. And then on Saturday morning, I couldn't focus again and I was distracted. And I thought, well, I'm just going to pack my suitcase and be ready to go. And at 3 o'clock, I get a little thing from United Airlines saying, you haven't checked in for your flight today. I'm like, I'm flying today? Well, I'd done my chores. I fixed everything in the house and I'd packed my bag. All I had to do was take a shower and go to the airport.
Mhm.
It's like, thank you, Source, for being connected. Thank you for trusting that voice from within. Do this now. Go over here. Go check that out. What's sparking? You've heard me ask that before. What's sparking? What's catching your eye? Wonder and wander and ponder. Wonder about it. Think about it. Wander about it. Imagine about it. Wander. And then go do it. Wonder, wander, and ponder. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for spending a few minutes with us on Wednesday. Reach out to us. Steph, I would love to have a little bit of one-on-one time with you if you're up to it. I've got time for that.
I would love that. Thank you.
And anybody else as well. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Do we have a group chat? Is there a group chat?
We
Because
do.
I'm not on it.
Yeah, let's
It could be huge.
yeah. Let's see. Let me find that link for it.
It's not for now. It's for later. We're talking. All right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I can send it to you personally.
Okay, yeah, we'll send it again. But we've definitely have a
All right.
so we'll make sure. We'll reach out there for sure.
I then.
All right, friends. Happy Wednesday. And like I said, don't be alone. Reach out to us. Ask for what you need and offer what you can, for sure. All right, everybody. Be well today and every day. Thanks for putting yourself.
Bye now.
Okay.